Please welcome to the program Pastor Aaron Taylor.
Thank you so much for having me. We had a great meal last night. I want to thank you for that.
Well, more importantly, you told an amazing story about how you used a firearm. You thought you were being a good Samaritan, and you were, but it turned out somewhat weird, to say the least.
Turned out.
Take it from the top.
Threatening.
Take it from the top, Pastor. What happened? Where were you? What happened?
I was doing a fundraiser for our church. We do ministry around the world, and we have one big fundraiser each year. And so I was in the process of that, and as I saw a van come rolling around and some guys push up to it, literally carts full of tools from a hardware store. And so they start loading them in, and I'm sitting there. I took a picture. I was like, this is odd. And right behind it is walking a supervisor in a red vest. So I pulled up. I had a trailer on the back of my vehicle.
What was the store? What was the store?
Lowe's.
Lowe's, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I pulled up next to him, and I said, hey, are these guys robbing you? And the guy goes, yeah, but I can't do anything about it. I'm not allowed to. So he's filming it. So I said, well, I can do something about it. So I pulled up, blocked the front of the van in so that it couldn't pull forward. And another guy pulls in front of me, and he jumps out. And I get out, and he says, and I'd been working, and so I had a pair of athletic shorts on and a T-shirt, and I jump out to see what I could do to stop the situation. And a guy yells, and he'd been there a little longer than me, he yells, be careful, these guys could really hurt you. So I thought, well, I got to show some wisdom here. So I reached back in my car, pulled out the 9mm that I carry legally with a concealed weapons, and I put it behind my back, because if I put it on my shorts, I'd be shortless. So,
or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put it behind my back
higher.
and walked up with it in the back, hidden, because I wasn't there to do anything other than stop it. And I started pulling the stuff. They're putting it in. I'm pulling it out with my left hand. So I'm reaching around him, and then one of them tries to get in the vehicle. I pull him out. And so this starts transpiring until I'm pulling more out than they're putting in, and they're getting frustrated. These aren't kids. These are 40 men in their 40s. I'm in my 50s. And so I start pulling it out. They start putting it in. I lived a rough life early on, so these kind of situations and guys aren't too scary to me, and I figure we'll get through it. But I also am keeping a good eye on them. I don't want them pulling a gun on me. I don't want them sticking a knife in my chest. I'm wanting to not die. So we're doing that. And I feel like if I stand by and just let this happen, that's got to be the most evil in the world there is. That is the worst thing, to just stand by and let evil happen and do nothing. And so I'm doing what I can. Here's the truth. This is what they said afterwards. Well, this happens every day.
It's obvious that they're used to it.
Oh, yeah. Every store, every day.
Right.
And they do nothing about it. Mm-hmm. And now we're enabling these people that maybe they're desperate, but you can't enable them to do wrong.
So
anyway, I'm start preaching instead of telling my story. So I go back and forth. One of them gets away and into the van and into the driver's seat, and the other guy hits me. So I back away, and he's now hitting me, punching at me.
With his fist punching you.
And I get over to where I'm at the front tire. I'm standing just right at the front tire. If I take another step back, I'm in front of the van. Behind me is a pickup and my vehicle. I can't go anywhere. There's a trailer. There's nowhere to run. And a guy's literally shoving and punching and cussing, and I don't know what to do right now. The guy in the van starts it up. It's one of those old alkaline vans that reminded me of my dad's. And when you stick it in gear, it has this thud before it moves. So he starts revving the vehicle up, and he's looking at me, jeering. He's not looking behind him. He's not looking in front of him. He's jeering. And I'm at the front of the van. And so eventually, when I hear that thud, I don't wait to see if he's going to come back or forward. I just pull my gun around and I shoot the front tire. I will tell you, the next round was going into the chest or the head of somebody else, because this was a dangerous situation. I was about to get ran over by a vehicle. I hoped it would scare them.
So you shoot the tire, and you think that maybe that will scare them, and the whole event will just dissolve, but it doesn't.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you this. It happened from the minute you think I'm in danger to you have to fire a weapon is 2 to 3 seconds, if that. I mean, it's 1, 2. It's not drawn out like you think.
No,
it's not like the movies.
No, and by the way, Pastor, why do you shoot the tire? That doesn't stop the car. It could still go. It could still run over you. You had every right to shoot right through the window, and shoot the driver. You had every right to do that, but you shot the tire. The police don't do that.
No, you're right. I talked to a policeman. It's a great friend of mine. I asked him, and he said, "Well, I've shot twice at the tires." But honestly, I didn't want to shoot anyone. That's not my heart. Mm-hmm. I didn't even want to have to scare anyone. What I wanted him to do is to be arrested. But can I tell you this? When I pulled up and I asked, I said, "Did anyone call the police?" They said, "Oh yeah." The store didn't even call the police. So all this has happened. No call went into 911.
The cavalry's not coming?
No. Mm-hmm. I thought they were on their way. I'm trying to delay these guys.
Right.
No call went into 911 until the gun went off. Because
then they called 911.
Yeah. They're stealing $2,500 worth of stuff.
Okay.
And nobody thinks it's even worth a phone call.
So you shoot the tire. There's one person behind the wheel, obviously, and there's another person inside the car?
There's one person behind the wheel. The other guy's punching at me.
Okay.
So he's to my left. Mm-hmm. I reach over. I pull one off. Why did I not? Well, the next gun.
Why didn't you shoot the guy who was punching you?
That was next.
Okay.
I mean, let's be real.
Right.
I don't want to shoot anybody. Mm-hmm. That's never been my heart, to kill a man. Mm-hmm. I'm not a vigilante. I just would like these guys to not steal. I think it's wrong to steal things.
Right.
And understand this. I just got done doing a fundraiser for my church. I had 7 different times where people walked into our fundraising tent for our church, and was during fireworks, and stole fireworks. Just walked in and said, "I'm taking these," and walked out.
Okay, Pastor.
And nothing happened.
Back to the story. So you shoot the tire.
I shoot the tire. They back up. They get away from me. Mm-hmm. They put it in reverse, and they back out. They back out, and they take off down the road. The tire eventually goes flat. They get arrested. I'm standing there. Store personnel come up and thank you very much. That was awesome. Appreciate it. I'm put my gun away, and in rolls the police. Of course, I just became the guy with the gun. And so I get down on my knees. I do the whole thing. They put me in the police car. They clear the situation. And I don't resist arrest because those are police.
Of course.
Right? And I'm okay. We're going to explain
it. It'll be sorted out later on. And so,
right.
Yes,
we're okay.
So far, so good.
And so we sorted out the police. Later, I listened to all the body cam. Mm-hmm. So they knew who I was. I'm a pretty well-known pastor in my city. And they know who I am. They're talking about it. They know I'm not a danger. And so the policeman walks up to the vehicle and he says, "Hey, this shouldn't be a problem. We should be fine. I see what you did. I see why you did it." I explained, I give him my part of what the story was. And he says, "It looks like the DA wants me to write you a ticket. I'm going to write you a misdemeanor, be about $130. Shouldn't be a big deal." And he comes back and he tears it up and he goes, "Hey, I'm just going to write you that you fired a weapon, and you just have to go in and talk to the judge. You'll be okay. But I can't write what I want. I can't write what my supervisor wants because now the DA's involved. I'm just standing still in the parking lot." I went out and found the shell. I gave it to the police. I gave him my gun. It was all good.
So now you're before a judge, and you think you're going to get a slap on the wrist, and
so first one, I think it's just a misdemeanor, and it was. And they said, "Well, you need to get an attorney." I mean, literally, I went and they said, "Well, next step is you need to get an attorney." I'm thinking this, from what I was told, it's gonna be done. Thank you for what you've done. Well, the problem is it landed in the DA's office, and she doesn't like guns, and she doesn't like Pastor Aaron.
Have you had any issues with her before?
No, but I'm an outspoken conservative Christian.
With a gun.
And I have a gun.
You have a gun.
A few of them.
Yeah. Not a good combination.
No, it isn't.
So you go before this judge.
So I go before the first judge. First thing is go get an attorney. You need an attorney. So I'm thinking, oh, good grief. So I go get an attorney. Well, that's $5,000 right off the bat. They won't even talk to you. I'm like, this is ridiculous. How could this be? Well, I got to go get an attorney. So there goes $5,000. So I get the first attorney, and I don't know. I don't even know where to go get an attorney like this. And, what do you do? I call around, I find out, I get an attorney. First attorney, he's just like, well, let's just lay over, and what we'll do is we'll just find out what they want, pay them off, we'll be done. I'm like, well, that's not what I just paid you money for. Well, he goes, and I said, I want to fight this. This is wrong. And so as he begins down this path, the DA, our first meeting over the, they're doing everything over the computer at that point. And the first meeting with the judge, the DA says, well, he either takes my deal, which was to accept a misdemeanor and full guilt, 3 years, no rights, no gun, they just take our gun and $10,000. That was the first deal. And I said, that's ridiculous. And she said, well, you take that deal or we'll meet again. She says this in front of the judge, which he said, that's ridiculous. And she said, this will be a 5-year mandatory minimum sentence where you'll serve every day of 5 years in prison for this.
This is what the prosecutor said to you.
That's what the DA said to me, yeah. And what do you say other than, well, here we go. So, of course, my attorney that I had at that point was definitely, well, let's just find ways to appease her, get the lowest sentence. And I'm like, no, I want to fight this. And he's like, you fight it, it's going to cost you $50,000. Are you kidding me? No. So she's just said, guilty or not, I'm going to put you in prison for 5 years. And my only answer is pay an attorney $50,000. And he goes, well, it's just how this is. So we start down the path. I fire that attorney. I lose. He only went to 2 court cases. Like, it was literally, he'd only used up $600-700. He was actually surprised I didn't want my money back. I just said, it's ridiculous. I'm not going to now fight you. I got enough on my hands. So I hired a gun attorney, and that gun attorney told me, we're going to win this case. There's no doubt about it, but it's going to cost you $25,000. So guess what? My credit cards to this day are really nice, but it's not on American Express.
Just unlimited, yeah.
But I got a good looking credit card. I went ahead. What are you going to do? You're going to put it on a credit card. And I hired an attorney. So the attorney, we went back and forth. We're going to win this case. We talked it through. He was very positive. And then I got COVID. And I didn't get kind of COVID. I got sick COVID. The grand jury met while I'm in the hospital with COVID. I got out 2 days later. I went in a wheelchair with oxygen and could barely talk. And grand jury decided they thought that, now, if you've ever been in the grand jury experience, there's nothing quite like it. You get to say one little thing, you're questioned by the DA, and your attorney can't be there, and she paints this however she wants, and you just answer a few questions, and you're done. And I wasn't in the shape to even answer very many questions. So, I was in, not to get onto that, but I was literally sick for, it was almost 2.5 months where I could barely breathe.
45 seconds in this segment.
Okay, and she didn't honestly care. And so it was going to go on to an actual trial. And that's where we were at. We were going to go to a trial, and I paid my attorney, and we were going to fight this in court.
With Pastor Aaron Taylor of the Crossfire Outreach Ministries in Springfield and Eugene, Oregon. His website is mycrossfire.com. The book is called Do You Love Me? It's on Amazon. We have another 3 minutes or so in this segment. So right. I know you're a pastor. You can go. I can go. I'm not a pastor, but I can go too.
A long time.
I'm thinking you should have hired the lawyer that the bad guys used.
Yeah, you're right.
Got a better deal. So you're facing 5 years.
I'm facing 5 years, and basically they're saying, which I could get into it, but there was There was definitely, for a year, they held the video of what happened and said they didn't have it. And then when they finally gave it to us, because we could show on body cam that it existed, it ends miraculously. Although they filmed it, although it was there.
So back up, the DA had video of the whole thing.
Yep.
And
Says
they told you that they didn't have it, or they were unaware that they had it?
Correct. And then when she finally gives it to me, the day I was supposed to plea, she gives it to me, and it cuts off the minute I pull up and say, "Hey, did anyone call the police?" Yes. Do you know what's going on?
Conveniently, it ends right there.
And it ends right there.
Wow.
So anyway, I decided I was going to plea. I didn't want to. The thing would drag on another year, and money just runs out. That's what it really comes down to. I'm a pastor of a church, and so I just said, I'm going to go ahead and plea. So I plead, but when I plead, I asked for a couple things. I asked that, I would like to be able to hunt with my son, and miraculously, the DA, I ended up with a decent judge and a horrible DA, and the judge totally took my side, but I had pleaded. And the DA fought me to the very end, and that's where it ended. And
so you're still able to keep your permit? I
do not have a carry permit, but I can hunt.
You can still
hunt.
And
the judge said, well, I'm going to charge you $100. He could charge me $10,000. And he said, I'm going to let you hunt. And I just want you to know, in Oregon, you can hunt. You can hunt. You can prepare to hunt. You can hunt, and you can be done hunting every day of the year. So just know that you're always either preparing or hunting.
Do you get your permit back?
No, I don't get it back for 3 years.
Wow.